welcome to the Luminary Podcast Studio. I'm Edward, one of the studio engineers here. I'm joined with Johann.
Hi there, I'm also one of the studio engineers here.
And this is a podcasting about...
So just to clarify, we're a pod about podcasting, yeah?
This is a podcasting about podcasting.
Yeah, so basically, this is a pod about podcasting and other visual media. We wanted to do this podcast because I think it's something that one of the things we want to do with Luminary Podcast Studios is a lot of beginners will probably use this studio that you're probably seeing now.
Yeah.
And I think people get weirdly nervous about it. And so why not talk about it and
Absolutely.
do a podcast about it?
Basically. The good thing about podcasts is it's good for newcomers.
Yeah.
Because they can kind of like, it is a casual, once you get over your nerves,
Yeah.
it is more of a casual conversation on camera or on audio.
Yeah. So I think, it's down to let's make a podcast about podcasting, which sounds almost quite redundant if you think about it. It's like, okay, it's a podcast about podcasting. It's almost like you're doing the thing to teach the thing.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think honestly, we're here in the Belper studio, and honestly, it's pretty good, isn't it?
pretty swanky, and we've got the brand lights going on.
I know, right? Got that. We've got the plants. We've got everything, and this is just one of the 3 setups we have at the moment. So yeah, let's have a talk about it. The subject for today, for this premiere episode is what is a podcast and why.
Yeah. So do you want to know the definition, the actual dictionary definition of a podcast, and see whether we agree or whether it's still that?
Yeah, actually,
as today, as it evolved, basically.
Actually, go for it. What is the the dictionary version?
Dictionary: an audio recording typically featuring speech that may be downloaded or streamed onto a computer or mobile device, generally available as a series which people can subscribe. So it's a robotic description. It's vague, but it is basically still that.
It still is, but in a weird way, that description, to most of a degree anyway, that could be an audiobook.
Yeah.
That also falls under audiobook, right? That also falls under a radio talk show. But a podcast is different than that. There's a little extra layer to that than just let's talk into a microphone and have it downloaded on Spotify.
Yeah. So when I first started listening to podcasts, for me, I thought, this is like the evolution of radio. This is like, it felt like a radio show, but on a digital medium. Right.
What was your first podcast that you listened to?
I listened to the Ricky Gervais one.
Same.
And Carl Pilkington became the star of that.
I think, honestly, because Ricky Gervais is unintentionally like the grandpappy of podcasting.
Yeah.
That and Kevin Smith, because Kevin Smith also had a whole thing of it. But what they did was, if you look at them, that's just literally mates talking. Kevin Smith literally talked to his producer friend who did all his movies, talking about all the stuff that he liked. And that was fascinating because I don't think, because with radio, for example, rarely can you see people being that honest.
Yes.
Like it still has to go through censorship and has to go through different kind of things. So there's still a lot of leeway with it. With a podcast, you can technically talk about what you like. There's less restrictions. And it allows you to say your thing without like bits in the way, I guess.
Yeah, and now I suppose because they all started, you just download them onto your iPods and stuff back in the day, and they were strictly just audio, weren't they? Now they have evolved to often video.
Yeah.
Which is probably one of the only evolutions of podcasts. They've stayed pretty much as they are.
Yeah. It's literally, if you look at any video podcast, it's literally just a bunch of people sitting down talking. It's this setup. Like, this is literally, I've seen so many people do this exact table setup.
Yeah.
Or they're all on a sofa, like all the Logan Paul stuff, all the sports podcasts in particular. They have like a big room with like 12 sofas.
Yeah.
But it's all just that. And it's an evolution reason why video is because now people like to have this in the background on television as a background noise. But that also means then some people that the conversation has to be interesting and the people on it has to be interesting, because otherwise, why would you want it in the background? Because then suddenly, let's say it's like with the Logan Paul podcast, for example, and he says something either controversial or surprising or very interesting. You might be hoovering and suddenly go, wait a minute. It's like when you used to watch soap operas.
Yes.
And you know, a lot of it's a lot of weird, boring, talky stuff until, I don't know, something really dramatic happens, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what podcasts are now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you think they always need to be a series?
No,
No.
they don't have to be. Okay, so here's the best example. We are part of Enigmatic Productions, as we were. We have been buddies for way too long. I always say that, like, I feel like I'm like a mold, just kind of stuck to you. But it is one of those where we've tried everything. We've tried video, we tried filmmaking, we've tried all this stuff, and podcasting was one of them.
Yeah.
We tried that, and it wasn't necessarily a series, the Trash Tapes podcast. It was, because a series would be like some kind of continuation. What a podcast is to a degree, if you want to keep it going, is a theme.
Yeah.
It's thematic more than a series.
Because a lot of people are intimidated starting a podcast because they listen to podcasts, and podcasts are often weekly, and they're thinking, oh, I've got to do a podcast every week. That's quite demanding. But they don't need to be weekly. No. They can be monthly, or they can be like quarterly. You know, it's just... It doesn't have. There's not a limit, is there, of like when it has to come out? It just has to stick to a theme and just release whenever you want to release. You know.
Yeah, because I think sometimes, yes, we always hear about consistency is needed. Like, if you want to keep attention, you need to get consistency in. But the idea of if you're just wanting to talk to your mate, and you're talking about a subject, like we talked about bad movies, for example, and on our podcast, like we only realized we could only really do that because of timing or whatever it is, about once a month, right? We tried to maybe do it multiple weeks, but that's hard work. It's a lot of work and a lot of time to dedicate to. But working around your schedule and allowing you to talk to your mate or talk to your partner or talk to your business associate or talk to your guest, but still keep it like a consistent theme going. Like, what is it about? Like, what is the thing that's consistent? Yeah. And I think that's better. It doesn't. That's the consistency. The consistency is the theme. It's the production value. It's that kind of thing.
So, why should people start a podcast?
So, well, okay. Let's ask this question first. Going back to the Trash Tapes. Why did I start a podcast? Why did I decide to do this as a podcast instead of like, I don't know, a video review or or like a blog post?
I personally think because bad movies or cult films is a hangout time. You know, it's you need that you need like that social side to talk about. You can't just say you could do a review, I guess. People have done reviews of cult movies, just talking to camera or voiceover. Yeah. But once you have the social side, discussing and debating on a cult or bad film, it elevates the content. I think I just think that it needs that to push it, you know,
because it does feel more. Because honestly, here's the thing: it feels more relaxed, right? Like it's more conversational and feels more relaxed. And what is one of the best things about a podcast or talking about, or maybe talking through a bad movie, is talking through it. Yeah, and being able to like talk about and share the thing that you saw. Like, you know, we saw some bad movies, and some of them got us mad, and some of them got us really funny, and all that kind of stuff. But then talking about it afterwards, you need that kind of loose structure. Yeah. And there is still a structure. Like, I mean, you got your laptop for this exact episode, so we know exactly the talking points. But the reason why I think it was is because it was actually easier for me to just talk to you about it than it would be to write a full script. Yeah. For me, let's say write a full script like a video review, I would genuinely struggle because I want to go off script. Or if I wanted to write a blog post, I would be going back and forth going like, I'm not sure. Nah, that's not what I really mean. I mean this, and I'm being a bit flowery or whatever it is. And I think when it comes to something like that, if you just feel like you can talk about it, that's what it is.
And it's that when you just naturally in conversation, you might go off on a weird tangent, and that tangent actually might be the highlight of the podcast. You never know where it's going to go, do you?
There has been I remember some videos and some podcasts that we've done where I think for like I've gone for like on a weird turn. Yeah. And it took a little while to get back there, but it was hilarious while we had it. And it was fun. And it also allows us to relax and just go, you know what? Who cares? This is really, really funny. So,
and I think as well, that kind of this kind of format, it connects you to your audience quite quickly because you'll naturally be yourself after speaking for like a few minutes. You'll naturally then just relax into it, and those people are getting to know the person. When it's a different kind of medium, like you'll naturally like put on your phone voice or put on your public speaking voice when you're directing like directly to camera and it's that needs to be sharper and scripted and things like that. But when it's a podcast, it's relaxed and they're getting to know you as you're going along, I think.
You know, actually, like the best example is, since working here at Luminary in particular, you had an opportunity to see me sometimes, and you've already noticed me, doing my voiceover work.
Yes.
And you notice how it sounds almost like a different person compared to how I speak.
Yeah.
It sounds almost very prim and proper. Like it sounds very clean. And it sounds like, and it's like, please buy our cars now.
You go very British.
Like. I go really British. And it sounds a little bit like that kind of tone, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't sound... Admittedly, that doesn't sound like a normal person, at least to me. It feels very strict.
Yeah.
It feels... I mean, there are people who talk like that, but for me, that doesn't feel natural to me. That feels like I'm putting on an act. That's performing.
Yeah.
And this shouldn't be about performing. This should be about talking. And so, yeah, you're right.
So do you think on your on-camera persona, do you think it's always different to your regular persona, or it's just when you're sort of doing more of a to camera or doing a speech to someone, or like, is that...
That's interesting. I want to ask you, because you do a lot of videos to camera, sometimes on your own with the enigmatic stuff. Do you feel like that's a version of you, or do you put on a performance?
I thought it wasn't, but I've asked my partner about this, and my partner can tell the difference between regular day-to-day life Edward and the persona I've created called Harvey Retro, which is for my nostalgic content. And I'm more, it's a more sort of bubbly, kind of exaggerated, persona of my, of version of my personality.
Got more bubbles.
Yeah, but I think sometimes it's fun to explore that. It's like I'm not changing myself completely, but it's fun to kind of just elevate your natural personality.
This is true. Like, I think if you allow yourself to have it's an extension of yourself.
Yeah.
Right. But I do know that some people do feel generally uncomfortable in front of a camera, and so they kind of shy away. But I think to a degree it is partly a performance. But the realistic thing a good thing about a podcast is the cameras are here, but they're not asking us to do anything.
No, and that's why I personally think that when I'm doing my videos, socials, reels, and stuff like that, I think that is that exaggeration. But when I'm doing something like this and our podcast, I think I might do an intro where I'm like, bubbly to camera and stuff like that. But I think eventually the audience will just see me.
Yeah.
Because I can't sustain an exaggerated personality for like an hour or whatever.
Do you know what's funny? And this is shows in our videos. When you do an intro to a video, there is like a semi-scripted way and you do a certain bit of a speech. But the moment it's just conversation, that is completely gone.
Then I go all belper.
You go really heavily belperish. And then cut back to the outro. Almost like it kind of goes like a bell curve. So it shows that sometimes if it's too scripted, you will naturally fall into a performance.
Yes.
I feel like when the camera's on me, and it's more like a performance thing. I've had several things. Sometimes I am very anxious, and I'm very honest about that. There's a level of anxiety, but I get through that because I've learned how to be on camera.
You use that to your advantage.
I get a very nervous energy.
Yeah, but it's like, like this. It's like, it's fun,
It's fun.
You get more bouncy with it.
Yeah, but it does feel like a nervous energy. Like I could snap at any minute with the amount of explosive energy I have, and I just don't know what to do with it. I remember ages ago doing a completely different. This is a completely different thing. It's not podcasting per se, but I did. For a very brief period of time, I hosted a game show.
Okay.
So there was
What was your game show persona like?
So the game show persona, okay, so honestly, it was me being a nervous wreck almost, because it was a last minute thing, because I did this with Confetti College over at Nottingham.
Yeah.
And it was a game show that the students designed. And I swear, I swear to God, the best thing, it's very much like a kids' game show. It's slightly get your own backish, like people were throwing custard pies at each other, that kind of thing. So the nervous energy helped there because it's supposed to be like manic, and because if the host is manic, it means the games were manic, and it just kind of led into it. But I never really felt that was me. That felt like I just about got through it. Because it was nerves. There was an audience. It felt more like a performance. And it felt like this is Johann, the game show host, not Johann
Jazz
the person.
hands.
Jazz hands. I never got a sparkly jacket, which really upset me. But it's the idea of like, this feels more like me right now.
Yeah.
This thing feels more like me. And I think the reason why anyone would start a podcast and do that kind of thing is to let themselves be open a bit more. To a degree, especially with their audience or their customers or whoever wants to listen.
Yeah. I mean, I'm quite a sort of a shy person, and every time I've had to like go on, when I first started going on camera, or when we've introduced film screenings, things like that, it was my sort of, how am I going to get over this kind of, was always like, I'm just going to be funny immediately. I'm going to open with a joke kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I always try and do that with podcasts as well. I just try and be funny right at the beginning so the audience loves me immediately.
Yeah.
But you remember, when we first hosted a screening for Trash Tapes, I came down to the front and I had the mic already in my hand while approaching the stage and said, "Oh, I've got wobbly beer legs." And all the audience found that hilarious, and they were really warm to me after that because I started was honest like that. But you can be like that on a podcast, can't you?
It's all about honesty. But if it's a conversational thing like what we're doing now, the honesty really helps. And the reason why anyone would do a podcast like that is to be open and honest with your customers, with your audience, with whoever your niche group are, and to show a bit more of you. And it doesn't have to be a performance anymore. It's a bit more like that. So I think that's the fundamental basis on that point. Okay.
So using a podcast to help explain ideas and messages more clearly is the next thing we're going to talk about.
Okay. So
because you can educate your audience with a podcast, can't you?
You can do, especially if it's a niche subject or a niche field.
And the thing is, because of the algorithms and stuff like that, people will be looking for certain niches and things like that. So you could actually just people will listen to lots of different things, subject matters, and you have the space on a podcast to really go into a lot of detail, and your audience will just find you through algorithms and things like that. So it's
almost a surprise. Like I joke, and this is one of the things that people think like everyone and their grandmother has a podcast now, right? It's a joke. It's a joke. Like there's a podcast everywhere, but it basically does mean then that there is something for you if you search hard enough.
Yeah,
like you could find that really interesting, carpenter's podcast about whatever it is, for example, or maybe it's about a particular time period. There's been a certain burst of 90s themed podcasts as of late, of just that kind of nostalgia boom, or of a very particular business field. Like the idea is that we know certain people who do things like in video games or do things in certain fields like that. We've worked with clients that have started podcasts on very niche things, like about logistics or moving or that kind of thing, or moving, or like literally like moving houses and all this kind of stuff as well. There's all these subjects. So it is an education, and it is a good message to get you across if you are someone who feels like it's better to talk to them than it would be to like do a scripted video or to do that kind of thing. That's what I think. It's easier, at least to me anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So finding your voice through conversation.
Easy. We're doing that now.
Yeah.
Like that's what
doing a podcast about podcasting.
Doing a podcast about it's a pod about podcasting, and it's quite. And look, this conversation has been that, right?
Yeah.
It's easier to just talk about it sometimes.
Imagine if we had to do this kind of video where it's scripted and with an auto cue. And I mean, we do reels and stuff like that where we're actually like scripted, and but it's when it's a long form content, it's it's difficult to get your message across with a scripted format, isn't it? Yeah.
It's harder, and we're going back to the performance thing.
Yeah.
I think we worked with a client before. We worked with a client before who generally struggled to get a script going. They got nervous all the time. They fumbled, and it didn't feel natural. Like we had to coax them into feeling more natural to do so.
Yeah.
And that's what happened when it's a performance. When you're talking, you're just talking to, like you're talking to your friend, you're talking to your partner, you're talking to your mate, and that's never really scripted unless you generally script all of your conversations, which sounds exhausting.
And yeah, because anyone could like at home, they could think, oh yeah, I've got all these ideas, and I'm going to talk about this particular thing, and they'll maybe talk about it in front of the mirror, and it'll be like, oh yes, it's brilliant. And as soon as the camera goes on, and you're talking to camera, you'd be like, and you don't want to, with that kind of video as well, you don't want to like have too many pauses and kind of thinking about what you're saying. But in podcasts, you can pause and you can like go, what should we talk about next, and things like that, because it's just relaxed, isn't it? Yeah.
It's the relaxed nature of it. It's the reason why all this works, right? It's why I always think like people have always joked, for example, that the podcasting bubble is burst and is not gone. It's never going to go away, because this has now become a format that is so much nicer and easier to not only just get into, but to get your point across and to find that audience really easily. How you say your message or how you do that. It's so much easier sometimes than someone wants to be a full-time YouTuber, or someone wants to do this or that. This is an easier, fun, and I argue a more relaxed, like you said, format.
What I've found as well, which is really good, is TV shows that were just on TV in a big set, an elaborate kind of thing, expensive, have now been reinvented into a podcast. Yeah. And it's obviously a lot cheaper to make a podcast. But it's the same sort of format. They may just describe things a bit more visual, like to the audio audience, basically. Like, I'll give you an example. Remember the show Room 101?
Yeah.
The comedy show, which was like, people, I don't like this particular thing, I'm going to put it in Room 101.
Sure.
That's now a really successful podcast. There's loads of episodes, and it's just in a studio interviewing people, and you've got the audience in the background laughing, things like that. But that's now lives on through a podcast, and probably people won't commission it as a TV show anymore, because you realise, you can just do that as a podcast.
And the reason why is because what was the show beforehand? It was three people sitting down in a room with the host talking about things they don't like. You don't need a big set for that. You could literally do it on a table.
But that's the 90s for you. The 90s had big, elaborate sets for everything. Like they spent so much money on things, but now you can just get your point across in a podcast, and it'll often be the same experience for the listener as what they had from watching that show.
100%. Because what is it? It's mobile storytelling, basically, is what I know of it as. Like, whether it is a series which is like a narrative, whatever it is, or one of my favorite podcasts at the moment is What Went Wrong. Yeah. Which every week they pick a movie and they do the full backstory of how that movie got made. And some of it's absolutely mental. And it's 90 minutes. So for me, that's my commute. I listen to it on the way into the commute, and then when I get out of the commute. And it is the best 90 minutes of the week for me. Yeah. Because it's them talking about how things got made. And again, it's just two people having a conversation. And it is genuinely just really funny going through like the weird things that happen in a movie production of a very famous movie. And you almost sit there going, I didn't even know that happened. It's like, oh wow, that really did happen. Yeah,
because obviously you'd never know, because the movie was edited really well or put together really nicely. You'd never know those stories. So.
Yeah, you never know. Like, for example, like a director went bit bananas, or the producer walked out on them, or people got horribly sick, you know, or things like that. Going like that. When I look at the movie, that's all the polished object, and I think that also shows even more a bit as well. This is going to be cut, like edited around. Like, I'm looking at that camera, this camera, that camera. It's going to be cut, right? It's still not going to be 100% polished, but it feels more authentic and natural than it would be that if we stopped and decided to go every time we had a fumble, we try and say that again every time because I think I've stuttered several times right
Well,
now.
I messed up the intro, but
You messed up the intro.
We're keeping that in because it's probably quite funny.
Exactly, and and the thing is, like, we swept in. It wasn't like, oh no, and we got nervous. Oh no, it went terrible. Oh no, it's gone that way. We swept in. We saved each other's butts because that's what we do all the time. And that kind of thing. And we did it work.
But I listen to loads of podcasts, like another one, like the PlayStation Access podcast. They keep a lot of their like fluff ups just in because it's just always so funny. Like everyone loves bloopers, don't they?
Yeah.
If you have your bloopers in your main content,
Yeah.
people are just going to lap it up, aren't they?
And also, it just proves that this isn't a scripted show. It isn't polished. It isn't clean, but it means that it's authenticity. And one of the biggest things, especially on social media right now and everything else, is yes, you can have really good production value, which is great. You need that. But the most important thing right now is authenticity and originality. If something feels too clean, too polished, too clipped, no one believes you.
That's also why we're going back to like a lot of people like nostalgic looks and things on like, certain camera styles and stuff like that. They're old fashioned now because they kind of want to go back to that personal kind of like homely touch, like.
True, but also, I mean, just look at the lights here alone. This is pure neon.
Yeah,
look at the background lights. It's neon. That screams like 80s fun, right?
Yeah,
and it is. Yeah, sure, it is luminary colors, but that's already added to the thing.
I need a Hawaiian shirt on or something.
Do you think the boss will allow us potentially get luminary Hawaiian shirts?
I would love that.
I would love that.
Phil?
Yeah. Yes, we would like some Hawaiian luminary shirts, please. Pink and blue, but I want Hawaiian, please.
I think they look really good.
Oh, they look wicked.
I know we're just joking around, but I'm honest. I'm like honest about that. Like,
I would wear that in the summer, like proudly.
Yeah.
So. There's an expense. But yeah. So really, what's left to mention about why people want to start one?
Well, the only thing we need to talk about, and we've kind of touched upon it, is podcasting still worth it in 2026? And I think we've covered it a little bit, but we can expand on that. We were saying it's a medium that's not going away. I don't think.
No.
I've been listening to them since this first started. I still am, and I don't feel like I listen because I use Spotify to listen to podcasts, and I used to listen to loads of music at one time. Podcasts has almost taken over from that listening space. I'm almost listening to more podcasts than I am music, and it just feels like it's always there. And the other thing I was going to bring up as well is the podcasts I listen to, like Unofficial Control podcast. You hear me bang on about them all the time, and good friends of ours. But I just have got to know them through their podcast because their personality comes across on that, and they could be talking about a game from 2006. I'm not interested, like a golf game or something like that. But the way they talk about it with passion, I'm just hooked. So that's why this medium's so great.
And I think as well, like it's like an educational piece that sort of stays there. Like we haven't done when we did the podcast ourselves, we did the trash tapes. We kind of stopped for a while, but one of the things I did say was I'm going to make sure it stays up there.
Yeah.
It's a time period of our time doing the podcast where, we were a little younger then, but it was down to we have all these memories and all this stuff there, and it's sort of there for a while. It becomes sort of a time capsule. Now, in 2026, now there's a little bit of research I actually looked into. So people said like at one point that the podcast bubble is stopped and no one's listening to podcasts anymore. That's a lie. What it was is like during, let's say, 2019 and 2020 and 2021. Well, no, not to dampen it. What were we doing in 2020? A lot of people were indoors, right?
Yeah.
Because of a global pandemic. But with that, it meant that loads more people had a lot more free time. And a lot more people either started podcasts or started listening to them. And so a whole bunch of people, a whole new bunch of fans came from 2020 and 2021 and realizing that with setups like our studio here or wherever, more people can just have the confidence to do it now.
Yeah.
Because loads of people were sitting down doing Zoom calls, right? They were doing Zoom calls and doing that kind of podcasting and having that thing. Loads of them came out. And then people realized that, there are studio spaces, there are all this kind of stuff. And so that, while that kind of makes sure that all the homegrown ones might have gone away, all the good ones stayed. And what we now have is higher quality podcasts.
Yeah.
And what's good about that is that with something like this setup, for example, 100%, that production value is sorted. So you don't have to worry about that. And I do think it's worth it in 2026 because, like I say, it's a format that isn't going away. It's something that can be expanded and moved across and done for however long you need it to be. And it's always there.
Yeah.
Like it's always there as some kind of memory, whether it's a video like on YouTube or whether it's going to be on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or even just recording this to put it on your own website.
Yeah. And the good thing about them as well, you get so much more content out of a podcast than just a podcast.
Yeah.
Like the amount of reels and stuff for social media you can get out of a podcast is immense, really. And not often they can be the real thing that draws your audience to the podcast,
Totally. So. Like half the time when I'm listening to podcasts now, I find out new podcasts entirely through reels now.
Yeah.
I just go, and it's like, where is this coming from? This weird, quirky conversation. And I click on their reel on Instagram or something like that, and I find that, and there you go. Now I got a new podcast.
Yeah.
It's quicker content. It's nicer content. It's easier to talk about. It's still relevant now, whether in the audio form or the video format. And it's something that's going to still keep going and it's going to find new audiences. In fact, one of the biggest things at the moment, do you know it's relevant when Netflix at the moment is looking into investing into podcasts now?
Yeah.
Because they're
already on like Shudder and things like that. Like there are streaming services do have them.
So now Netflix, a big one, is going to say, like, we're going to invest in podcasts now because they've looked at people like Joe Rogan on Spotify and noticing, like, that is good business. But so it's not just that it's not going to go away. It's the fact that this is now going to be moving into, it's already a big business and it's going to move into that. So to start it is, yes, it might be intimidating, but it's definitely a field that isn't going to suddenly evaporate.
Yeah.
With time and commitment.
Yeah, because I thought they were, when I haven't got a big commute to work anymore, I literally just walk up the road.
You're literally 5 minutes away.
I know. I thought that my podcast, I used to have a long commute, so I need a long piece of media to listen to while I'm commuting. But now I haven't got that long commute. The podcasts in my life haven't gone away. I still listen to them. So
yeah. And that's the thing, though. Now they're like they're the ones I listen at home. Like you listen at home every so often,
doing your washing up or like.
The amount of time I listen to, let's say, so professional wrestling podcasts. I listen to like 3 of them.
Yeah,
and they are fantastic while washing the dishes. I don't know, maybe it's because they're talking about professional wrestling moves, and I'm aggressively like cleaning the dirt off my plate. But whatever it is, it helps.
Yeah.
It helps the thing get across. We live in a world now where people have headphones on all the time. They're listening to stuff, whether it's music. So much of that is podcasts now because people just like the sound of other people's voices.
Yeah.
And so I generally do think that this is a thing that isn't going to go away. And it's okay to start now. It's okay to start now, I guess.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to get a podcast like booked in with us, go to luminaryvision.co.uk, and we've got a discount code at the moment, haven't we?
Yes.
The first 10 is our discount code, and you get 10% off.
Yeah, if it's your very first time doing a booking, you get 10% off the first one, and you can get a setup like this is one of the setups is our table setup. We've also got a lounge setup, which is personally my favorite because it's just a big sofa.
You just like saying lounge.
Lounge. I love the lounge. The lounge is great. And then also there's the face to camera stuff because we're not only just doing that as a podcast as well, but there are people who might want to use this space as a way of creating content.
Well, yeah, but yes, the face to camera setup is a cozy kind of. You could do like a reading or something. Like you could do an audio book, couldn't you, or something?
You could do an audio book or a demonstration.
Yeah,
I think one of the best ones is to do something like a demonstration. You get the table, you got 2 chairs, you're looking into camera, you're demonstrating a hobby of yours, or like a how-to video. Those are great training videos. Those would be lovely on those. So yeah, you can pick any of those 3, all available on the website in all the different packages. There's some packages that we just film it for you, and record it for you, and we sort that out us as the technicians. There's some which allow us to do the editing for you as well, and reels as well. We'll get all of that ready for you, all in a very nice little package. So
excellent.
So yeah, I think that's about it for the very first episode. How do you think it went?
I enjoyed myself immensely.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness for that. It would have been terrible if it was the other way around.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the end of the very first episode of the Luminary Podcast. We're here in Developer Studios, and hopefully we'll get to see you here. Come on our door, we'll help you. So, work out.
Bye-bye.
Adios.